It's okay. We're fine. I'm fine. You ready? Call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, tonight. We're happy to have you with us. And Chief Bill Carter is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Benny Collins is going to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. Lord, we just thank you for all the blessings that have been bestowed to us, Lord, and our families. Lord, we just thank you for the holidays we've just been through. We thank you for our health. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to live in such a community that we can all come together and express ourselves to each other in an orderly manner. Lord, we especially come to you tonight, and we ask, Lord, that you provide blessings to this governing board and the leadership, that, Lord, that the decisions they make, that you provide them with wisdom, Lord. You divide them with the gift of discernment, Lord. We just ask that you provide them with the strength to persevere through times as transition comes about, Lord, that often comes with some resistance and some anxiety. Lord, we know that what's in their hearts, we know that you know what's in their hearts, and we want to grow a strong, prosperous community, Lord. We want to. That's what we all want. Lord, we just ask you as in our prayers tonight that you provide that, and we just ask that everything we do and say will bring honor and glory to your name. In Christ's name, amen.
Is there any adjustment to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment period, we have two. First is Mr. Ray Hennant.
I'm Ray Hendon. I live at 205 Dogwood Trail, and I come tonight to say thank you. Wendell looked so good during Christmas time. I just think it was wonderful. Teresa Palmer and the town staff did an outstanding job. Main Street was just gorgeous. We had the lighting in the square. It was pretty. It was well organized. We had so much going on. We had people in the Women's Club, vendors were there. We had cookie walk at the Methodist Church. We had cantata at the Baptist Church. We had 3 restaurants open, stores open. It was really nice. It was I thought one of the best things that Carol and I went to during Christmas. So thank you. We enjoyed it.
Thank you. It was great. Thank you. Regina Horman.
Regina Harmon, 6616 Tails Branch Road, Mayor, Commissioners. First, I just want to say welcome and that John's really rocking that bow tie over there. You look good, dude. I also want to just reiterate what Mr. Ray just said. Best Christmas ever. It was wonderful. I can't thank the town employees, the Park and Rec, the past board, this board, for what all was done to make that December 4th night such a success. For the business owners, from all the way to McDonald's, to all the downtown businesses, even all the way out to Sid Bain's framing shop. They've all said that they had a remarkable December as far as revenue and, just helping the town out, people that they've never seen before, and some that's even come back more than once. That's what this town needs. And with this new young leadership that I see sitting before me, I'm very excited to see where we're going to go in 2016. I know you guys got a lot of shoes to fill from what's set there before, but I know you can do it. As a citizen, I'm very excited to be a part of this town in the coming years. I also want to thank Mr. Don Williams for what he has brought to our town with the Lake Meyer Light Show. He's done an outstanding job to help our economy grow in the December timeframe for all the businesses in the community. I'm hoping that in the year to come, we're going to see more of what we saw, add to it, and make it even better. And with that being said, from Wendell General Store to the Lake Meyer Light Show, I would like to offer Mr. Williams a small token of our appreciation for what he has done for our community and making it such a better place to be in the Christmas season. So, Mr. Don, if you could come up here, I'd like to give you a check on behalf of the Wendell General Store and what you've helped do for us in our community, because without you, we wouldn't have had such a great year. So thank you so very much, and I'm very, very proud to have you as part of a citizen in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Item number 3, presentation by Vicki Miller, Grassroots Coordinator with the League of Municipalities. Welcome, Ms. Miller. We're happy to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much. Just turn it that way. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thank you so much. If I just might take a brief moment of personal privilege and say that I've been to several meetings around the state over the years. I don't think I've ever heard a thank you being issued to the governing board. So, Ms. Pine, if we could bottle that up and sell it, we can put Wendell on there. I don't know if the attorney would agree with that. If we could do that, that might be very good for the rest of the state. But thank you so much for allowing me to be here this evening. I won't take up too much of your time, but just wanted to share some information about the League of Municipalities and what we do. Our organization, the main goal is to enhance the quality of life of North Carolina residents through the cities and towns that are members of our organization, and we focus on governance. And specifically what the League is, we are a membership organization, and we provide a variety of services to our League members that include advocacy, insurance, training, cost-saving programs, legal information, as well as communications. And we consider a primary role among many is to advocate for cities such as in towns such as Wendell to members of the General Assembly about your needs and interests in the state. There are 540 cities and towns like Wendell who are members of our organization. That includes about 3,200 of you elected officials who provide leadership on our board, as well as make up our policy committees. We have a 28-member board of directors and 4 policy committees, and we also have 3 separate insurance trusts, and we are served by a staff of 78 people. The League leadership, we have Mayor Hutchins from Elkin, North Carolina. She is our president. Our first vice is Mayor Matheny from Zebulon, and our Mayor Pro Tem second vice is Mayor Pro Tem Lazaro down in Jacksonville. League staff, we are led by Paul Meyer. If you haven't had a chance to meet him, I hope that you will have an opportunity to. And my team, I serve on the Public and Governmental Affairs team, which is led by Rose Vaughn Williams. And we believe that it's important to have a league because principally everything that cities and towns such as Wendell can do, the authority comes from the General Assembly. And those decisions are very important because you, as you know, you are the ones who help bring water to your residents, fight crime and fires. You take trash away. I'm sure this might be rare in Wendell, but if someone's trash is not picked up, you may or may not get a call about that. I'm not quite sure. But you also provide economic opportunities for your businesses and residents, and that's something we consider very important. And I just wanted to share that the league, in the last couple of months, had a poll commissioned of 600 likely voters in October, toward the end of October. And what generally we found was that as people got closer, the closer their government was to them, the more favorable they were toward that government. And the further you got away from that government service, the less favorable. So it's no surprise that most people believe that their cities and towns are going in the right direction. And also, people rank their city and town government job rating as very high. Quality of life in cities and towns, again, was ranked high. Services and amenities that cities provide, again, ranked the highest among all the areas. And general control of local government. Residents believe that city and county governments should have more control. Why should you care? Well, we believe at the League that you, as elected leaders of your town, should care because you know what's important for your residents. You know the direction that you want to go, and you know the values and principles that you want to have for your community. And we want to, as a league, help you achieve that. And with that, we're asking through grassroots advocacy, there are many ways that you can become involved in the league if you're not already involved. One is through our grassroots efforts, and we believe that connecting you, elected officials, to your legislative leaders is very important. These two gentlemen, Representative Tim Moore, or Speaker Moore, and Senator Phil Berger, President Pro Tem, as you know, are the two leaders of the General Assembly. And your Wake County leadership, there are a few, but here are the ones that make up the House and the Senate from your areas. And basically what we say with that is the bottom line is that it's about relationships. Everything is about relationships. And if you have great relationships with your state legislative leaders, we want to help you enhance that relationship. If you feel you need to have better relationships with your elected leaders at the state level, we definitely want to help in that realm as well, and we stand ready to do that. And we encourage any kind of outreach that you and the town could do with your elected leaders. Feel free to give us a call, and we'll be more than willing to work with you in any way possible to help that happen. If you have time, I can take a few questions, have information available, and we stand ready to provide any additional information and assistance to you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Miller? Well, thank you very much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
In my anxiousness to get moving, since we were running late, I turned the page too fast and skipped the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 4, public hearing on the zoning map amendment to rezone 2.365 acres of land located at 3000 and 3001 Wendell Boulevard from R3 to CMX. Mr. Bergmark.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As stated, this item is a rezoning request for almost 2.5 acres, and there's two addresses that are adjacent to each other. So tonight you're being asked to hold a public hearing on this request, and that acreage doesn't include the right-of-way, and schedule the item for action at the January 25th meeting, which is the next work session meeting. The applicant in this case is Mark Forstietti, with the Director of Wake County Facilities Construction Design. We also have with us present, in case we have questions, Mark Edmondson and Tommy Moorman with Wake County. These two properties, as I mentioned, are about 2.5 acres. It's currently zoned R3 and is being requested to change to our corridor mixed use, or CMX district. One of these is actually part of the parcel. It's split by the road, and the other portion is already zoned CMX on the opposite side of Wendell Boulevard. They're already currently located within the town's corporate limits. One of the property does have an existing single-family home, which is planned to be removed, although it wouldn't actually have to be per zoning if they wanted to keep it there. And the current property owners have shown their support for this request, and the other property is currently vacant. So Wake County is contemplating purchase of this property for use as an EMS station serving the town. And as such, they're looking to rezone it for that purpose. In the current zoning, so this will allow it to kind of conform with existing adjacent uses, and it's listed as a permitted use within the CMX. In the current zoning, it actually is allowed, but only with a special use permit. So they had the option of going down the special use permit route or the rezoning. But after speaking with us, we thought it more appropriate to look at rezoning given the surrounding zoning districts and uses. You have in your packet a copy of the map. It's also up on the screen there. And that area that's highlighted kind of with the green outline is the area in question that they're looking to rezone. And if you look at that, you can see that the rest of the corridor, that lots fronting on Wendell Boulevard are zoned that CMX would show up as that kind of light pinkish color. And in this case, the yellow is the R3. One thing we always have to look at when we're rezoning property is what does the comprehensive plan say about this area? Well, you know, what intent is shown there. So this area, we break up all of Wendell into a series of transect zones, areas of kind of more intense development to less intense development. This area falls within the S4 controlled growth area and is intended for moderate intensity new development and allows a host of different uses as part of that, such as traditional neighborhood development, neighborhood centers, single and multifamily, residential, neighborhood serving commercial uses, civic uses, and industrial uses. So it allows a pretty wide range of development types within this transect zone. And it's also located on the edge of a neighborhood center where they just kind of have nodes where they think more intense development could be appropriate. The planning board at their December meeting found the requested map amendment to be consistent with the recommended uses and development types outlined in the Wendell Comprehensive Land Use Plan for this sector and considered it reasonable given the surrounding zoning designations. And it was a unanimous vote in favor of it. And staff is also in favor of this request given the surrounding uses. Again, tonight's just the public hearing scheduled, not scheduled for action at this time. Be happy to answer any questions you may have, or if you have any questions of the applicants, as I mentioned, they are here as well.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Bergmark?
But this is a public hearing, so there may be members of the audience as well.
Yeah. This public hearing is now open. If anyone in the audience wants to speak for or against this rezoning?
Mayor and board members, I'm Lucius Jones. I live at 410 Selma Road, Vice Chairman of the East Wake Rescue or EMS service. And we are very interested in seeing this rezone because we're hopefully getting a new station built by the county. We've been anticipating and hoping and trying and working to get a new station for a long time, and it seems like maybe this is going to come to fruition finally. So on behalf of the EMS service, I'd like to, in Wendell, which Wendell, Zebulon, Knightdale, and Roseville consists of EMS service, and we've got better stations everywhere except Wendell, and this would be helpful.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Suzanne May. I live at 3009 Wendell Boulevard, and I would be happy to see it be changed as well.
Thank you.
Because I think that'd be very beneficial to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Mayor, I have to give the standard caveat, even though it's been represented to you what use would go there. In
Right.
making the decision, you should look at the entire table of permitted uses and make sure that all those uses are suitable for that location.
Thank you.
And you do have those included as
In the agenda
attachments.
package, yes, I saw it. Okay.
Are you quick that again?
Well, I looked around. The public hearing's closed. I'm going to ask the town manager to please place this on the agenda for our next meeting for action. Thank you. Item number 5, a public hearing, special use permit amendment by Hepzibah Baptist Church to add a storage building to an existing facility at 1794 Wendell Boulevard.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. The Board of Commissioners has been asked to hold a public hearing for a special use amendment for a property that already has a special use applied to it. It's the property where Hepzibah Baptist Church is. They are currently updating their site according to the provisions in special use 13-02. However, the current special use does not allow for a storage building, a 20 by 40 storage building. During the development planning, they indicated their need for one. The applicant's justification is that they would like to request a variance allowing them to put a storage building on the side of their existing facility rather than behind it, as the code states. Right now, our UDO only allows for accessory structures to be in the rear of the primary building. However, the applicant says that the lot does not allow for that. And in order to mitigate the visual unappeal of having the storage building fronting the road, they said that they would plant natural screening between Wendell Boulevard and the storage building. They said that they would plant 5 cypress trees so that they would be evergreen and would stay throughout the winter. Let's see, the building would also be built with a brick facade on all 4 sides and the same metal roof that is on their church building. They had looked at constructing it to be an addition, to be attached to the primary building, but that would initiate a lot of other building code requirements that increase the cost of the structure. So therefore, they are having a detached storage building that will be connected through a canopy to the main storage building, in a walkway. The storage building will be approximately 192 feet from Wendell Boulevard. So in addition to the brick facade and the cypress trees, it'll be a bit of a distance away from traffic on Wendell Boulevard. This is the location of the site marked in red. It is on the south end of Wendell Boulevard. Most of you know it is at the intersection right there, so there is a lot of through traffic, but most of you have seen the building and have seen the construction that's been going on right now. So the off-street parking, the zoning requirements, lighting, and public utilities will all stay the same. As I said, the buffering will be increased with the storage building, and they specified 5 Leland cypress trees, so that if anything does happen to the cypress trees, the special use permit does indicate that it has to be replaced. They will have to maintain those specific cypress trees. Staff's opinion, the applicant has adequately addressed the concerns through the building materials and landscaping. And if there are any questions.
Does anyone have any questions of Ms. Rice? This public hearing is now open. If anyone wishes to speak for or against this, come forward.
And we will need to swear these members in since it's
Yes.
quasi-judicial. Everyone will.
Anyone who wants to speak, come on up and be sworn in. You can do everyone at one time.
Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Face the clerk.
The best you can.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
My name is Paul White, and the group I represent owns the property across from this property on Battle Bridge, and we are for it and have no objections for it.
Thank you, Mr. White.
My name is Nathan Miller. I reside at 599 Cooper's Hawk Trail in Wendell, but I'm also the Associate Pastor of Discipleship and Administration at Hephzibah. So we love our town, and we are looking to make our site much better. As you know, driving by, currently we have trailers that are parked out back there that I know that we would like removed, as well as the town. And so our intent, and I have Mark Johnson here from G&G Builders, we would like to build this building. It's going to look just like our existing facilities. So it's going to be brick, it's going to be nice, and it is detached, which is the reason why we are applying for this special use policy or this permit from you all. But we are looking to clean that up and finish our construction and wrap all this up at one time so that we can beautify our property for you all. And so if you have any questions, then feel free to let us know. And Mark can give some more details about the building that we are building. Does anyone have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So this is to replace the trailers that you're currently using for storage?
Yes, yes. And we, the reason why we're having to put it there, if you've been on our campus, if you look at the back of the property, there's a steep slope being attached to our gymnasium, our worship area, which is where the storage is needed. And so it's kind of really impossible to put a building back there on the back of our property. So we're looking to put it on the side. We have a lot of property there. In fact, on one side, it's actually screened in by woods. That's a permanent. There's a watershed that runs through there, and so there will be a constant wooded area that we can't touch according to the codes at this point. And so then from the front, we'll put those Leland cypresses to even hide the building. So all the trailers will be gone. We're building a nice brick building that will match our current facilities, and we're putting some Leland cypresses in front of it to make it look nicer as well. So we're just trying to do a facelift for everything. Any other questions?
Nathan, was this any kind of deviation from an original plan? Had y'all thought about doing it in the back, and then when you got into it, you realized it wasn't going to work, or?
Well, we've looked at this before, and I'm new on staff. I've only been on staff for about a year and a half. I know at one point we were trying to bring to the board, a previous board, we were going to put one of those mobile trailers out there. And then we decided to put it into our existing building plans that we've submitted that we're currently building. And we had put some storage in our Phase 3, which is our sanctuary, that would go on the front on the Wendell Boulevard side that you all have approved. At this time, our finances have not come in to go ahead and build Phase 3, and we don't have any news on the horizon as far as when we will be able to do that. So we determined at this point we need a storage, some sort of storage facility now. So we're looking to build that on the side of our facility. And of course, obviously, you know, you can never have too much storage for things. And so it will be in addition to some storage. And so we had previously looked at it, but we're changing our original plan that we had talked about years ago with the board to actually put a nicer facility, a permanent structure instead of a mobile trailer. So we think it will match our current facilities a lot better, and will blend in so it doesn't stand out by and large. So,
Are there any other questions for Mr. Miller?
okay, Mark Johnson from G&G Builders.
Yeah, Mark Johnson, G&G Builders. I'm not a resident of Wendell, but I work here every day. The main reason they can't put it, I guess they could, but it would not be practical for them to put this storage building behind, is because their kitchen and there's a kitchen and like a fellowship hall on the back of that Family Life Center. They're going to use this storage building to get stage equipment in and out. Isn't that right, Nathan? Every Sunday. Mm-hmm. And they're using those trailers now, and so it's going to really be an improvement. And the reason too, I think I heard somebody ask or mention that one idea was to have it connected. I think they really preferred to have it connected, but when you have it connected, it was going to cost a fortune because we would have had to do a lot of renovation. It would become a part of the Family Life Center that's already existing. So you would have had to, the building codes that apply now would have to be applied to that Family Life Center, which would cost a lot of money. So by simply moving it out, they were able to avoid that and still accomplish this storage building. Again, I think they'd prefer to have it connected, but that wasn't practical. So they moved it out, but then when we moved it out, when they moved it out, you got into zoning and appearance codes. So that's why they need a variance,
Right.
pretty in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you, sir. This public hearing is now closed. Ms. Piner, can you please place this on the agenda for action of our next meeting? Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from item number 6.
Commissioner Carroll would like to recuse himself. I need a motion for that.
So moved.
All in favor, Mr. recusing himself? Okay, thank you. This is item number 6, public hearing for the closure of an unimproved right-of-way known as Wendell Falls Parkway.
Good evening,
Mr.
Madam Mayor,
Reedy.
members of the board.
Thank you.
Tonight, we're asking you to hold a public hearing and consider adoption of an order closing an unimproved right-of-way section. Old Oak Construction has submitted a request to formally close about 3,797 square feet of a section of Wendell Falls Parkway. The parkway fronts the property owned by Old Oak Construction, which is known as the Richardson House. On August 20th, 2008, a final plat was recorded for the realignment of Richardson Road as part of the Wendell Falls development and the creation of Wendell Falls Parkway. On that new plat, a new lot line and property line was shown in the same configuration as shown on the attached request. A final plat may dedicate additional right-of-way but cannot reduce previously dedicated right-of-way without official closure enacted by the resolution. The reason this has hung out since 2008, it was one of the last items that the previous developer did before everything fell apart, so they never were able to clean up this mess that was inherited by someone else. The requested portion of Wendell Falls Parkway has not been improved and open to the public or accepted for maintenance by DOT. Though it is still shown as a right-of-way on Wake County's GIS records. Old Oak Construction seeks to formally close this portion in order to try to install a septic system in the front yard to convert the house to a commercial office space. While not under the jurisdiction of DOT, the district engineer has indicated that they're in support of the closure. According to state statute, the town board must formally adopt a resolution declaring the intent to close the street, which was done on November 9th, 2015. And as per the resolution, as per the statute, the resolution was published in the paper as well as notice and posting of the site. Since Old Oak Construction owns all of the requested land, they would gain sole ownership of the land currently serving as right-of-way. The required 10-foot wide multi-use path should be able to fit within the remaining right-of-way. If it cannot be accommodated, the applicant has agreed to dedicate any necessary right-of-way to fit that in the path. If the road closure is requested is approved, the applicant will record the final plat within the Wake County Register of Deeds. Staff recommends approval of this order closing the unimproved portion of the right-of-way.
Just for clarification, Commissioner Carroll is the applicant, his company, Old Oak
Yes.
Construction, and that's why he's not
Yes.
part of these proceedings. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Reedy? Commissioner Boyette?
I see this is so that septic can be put in, a septic tank in a drainage field. Why wouldn't this be connected to sanitary sewer, or connected to the sewer
The
system?
existing line is further than Raleigh's connection policy, while in the future, Wendell Falls will probably be running the line up Wendell Falls Parkway, and that'd be quite a bit of a cost incurred. City of Raleigh has indicated that they would waive any connection policy just because of the distance from the existing line.
Are there any other questions? I have one question. It's my understanding that this is cleaning something up that was left behind by Mercury Development, and this actually is already on the GIS map as changed. Is that not true?
The right-of-way is not changed.
But isn't there some inconsistencies? Aren't there some?
Well, when you look at the plat from 2008, it
Right.
shows the old right-of-way line and the new right-of-way
Right.
line. However, the new right-of-way line was never, the town never abandoned that area, never
Right.
closed it, which is what we're doing now.
So this is a housekeeping issue as much as anything,
Yes.
something that got overlooked
Yes, ma'am.
a long time ago. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? This public hearing is now open. If anyone wishes to speak for or against the closure of the unimproved right-of-way. No one? All right. It's my understanding that we are to consider the adoption of an order closing the unimproved right-of-way tonight. Is there any discussion by the board, or is there a motion to do that by anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of the unimproved right-of-way, Wendell's Parkway, as addressed in item number 6.
Thank you, Commissioner Lutz. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? And motion carries.
All right.
You can come back, Mr. Carroll. Yeah, you can come back now. Thank you. Item number 7, review and action on facade grant request for numbers 11 and 13 West 4th Street. Mr. Reedy.
At the January 4th, 2016 Appearance Commission meeting, the Appearance Commission reviewed one downtown facade grant for the December 31st deadline period. The commission voted 3-0 to recommend approval of the facade grant for 11 and 13 West 4th Street. It's one building. It's the old dry cleaners that they have since, through permits, split that into 2 retail spaces. The request is for the amount of $1,000, and it is for a new fabric awning that is actually in place. It was put up after the facade grant application, which still makes it an eligible improvement. And there's a photo of the current existing awning as is.
Are there any questions for Mr. Reedy? Well, I'm looking for a motion to approve the Appearance Commission's recommendation.
I'll make a motion to approve the Appearance Commission's recommendation to approve the facade grant for 11th and 13th West 4th Street.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the approval of the facade grant for 11 and 13th West 4th Street?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. Item number 8, introduction and discussion of a conditional district proposed for West Academy Street. Mr. Reedy again.
Just wanted to make everyone aware that tonight is just an introduction of a possible project for informational purposes. There is no action requested. It's for dialogue. If you have any concerns with the project, this would be a great time to let the applicant know as he moves forward with a application process, and just wanted to bring it to you all to gauge feedback on any concerns or support you guys might have for it. The applicant is Lucius Jones, and the builder is Evergreen Construction Company. Lucius Jones and Evergreen Construction Company have met with staff to discuss the development of senior housing tax credit project proposed to be called Wendell Haven Senior Living on the vacant 12.75 acres located along West Academy Street using tax credits available from the state and Wake County. The project would use 5.51 acres and have 48 units. Of those, half would be 1-bedroom units and the other half would be 2-bedroom units. Each unit has its own kitchen and bathroom like a traditional apartment. The housing would also include a community gathering room with a common kitchen and a library. The development also proposes a small gazebo as well as a raised garden bed that was changed in the updated site plan that was given to you tonight. While the gazebo alone and the raised bed would not meet the 9,000 square foot requirement for active open space, additional amenities would be required through the standard development process. one possible thing through the conditional district is you could set specific open space amenities that you'd like to see. If you didn't, that would be up to the staff to enforce the ordinance for active open space. The proposed development will be reviewed as the conditional district development review process. Conditional districts provide greater flexibility by allowing the town board to grant deviations and apply additional conditions to a project based on specific needs. The master development plan would be heard by the planning board, actually this coming Monday, or Tuesday, I should say, for recommendation, and then a public hearing and final action heard by the Board of Commissioners. The master development plan would establish project parameters and would create unique development conditions for the project. Final development plan, which showed detailed construction drawings, would be created in conformance with the master development plan, would only go to the planning board for final action. The developer builder team has previously completed the Cedar Springs Senior Living Project across from the library on Hollybrook, as well as the Sandy Ridge Apartment Project in Wendell. On September 10th, 2012, the Wendell Board of Commissioners adopted Resolution R-10, 2012, which recognized that Wake County had an affordable housing policy for distributing affordable housing amongst municipalities in Wake County. Wendell has a higher proportion of government subsidized housing than the remaining municipalities within Wake County. That policy generally steers tax credit projects away from Wendell since we have a higher proportion. The town and county require any future tax credit projects to receive a letter of support by the town board before receiving Wake County funding approval. If this conditional district were to move forward and be approved by you all, prior to the final development plan is when we would ask for you all to get the full application that went to the county and the state and give that letter of support. The developer must submit the formal tax credit application package by January 22nd, and it's requested that the town board receive this introduction in advance of that submittal. Based on the feedback received by this board, the applicant would evaluate the board's disposition towards the potential project and financial implication of desired changes before making that application to Wake County and the state. Just a little bit of background on these tax credit projects. The developer may claim credits over 10 years equal to the present value of up to 70% of the qualified cost of the development project. The credit rate is reduced to 30% for projects receiving other federal subsidies or acquiring existing housing. Qualified costs equal the eligible cost multiplied by the fraction of the rental units reserved for low-income families. The way that these projects are set, there's two different options. One is that 20% of the units would be below 50% of the area median income, or that 40% of the units would be below 60% of the area median income. Rent for these units cannot exceed 30% of the family income. It's been indicated to us by the applicant that they are going to be using the 40% requirement. The remaining 60% of the units can have market rate rent. The applicant is prepared to answer any specific questions regarding resident selection process, how the tax process works. Staff has informed the applicant that the town will require a copy of the application to Wake County and the state prior to approval of the verification. Project owners must comply with the set-aside requirements and rent restrictions for 30 years. Past tax credits are recaptured with interest if the project violates the term during the first 15 years. Statute regarding how the taxable value of these low-income projects. The assessor must use the income approach as the method of valuation for the property when determining the tax that would be collected. The assessor may not consider income tax credits received. The developer estimates that this project would increase the current tax base, which brings in about $3,000 for the full 12 acres, to about at least $17,000 for the 5.5 acres. A similar project built near Triangle Town Center by the same builder had a tax value of approximately $15,000 this past year, but the city of Raleigh does have a slightly lower tax rate, so staff believes the applicant's estimate of at least $17,000 is reasonable. Attached is a site plan showing the general layout. You can see the split between the 5.5 acres and the remaining portion. Here's a zoomed in portion a little more. You have West Academy Street towards the top here with a drive aisle The building would front along West Academy Street and be L-shaped with the parking and the dumpsters in the rear. You have open space on the other side of the drive aisle and on the rear where additional access is off of Wall Street. And then at the back of the property, you would have the stormwater. Here is a proposed elevation showing the front that would front on West Academy Street, as well as the side. Right in the middle is a covered porch area that residents could go out to. This is the other side that you would see as you come on the drive aisle, as well as the, this would be that would be the drive aisle side. And then this was the back of it where residents would have a drop-off area and the parking would be. Since this picture was submitted, the applicant has revised the conditions so that these upper single windows would actually be double windows to help increase one of the requests that they submitted. The applicant requests several changes that deviate from the typical UDO. While the conditions of the CD will be officially reviewed by this board as part of the master development plan, the applicant has requested preliminary feedback from the town board to determine project feasibility. The site plan requests modification of the following 6 items. Actually, that changed to, still stayed 6. The first would be the right-of-way dedication along Wall Street and Short Street. The UDO also requires pavement widening, curb and gutter, and sidewalks along Wall Street, Short Street, and West Academy Street. The applicant proposes additional right-of-way dedication along Wall Street, but does not provide additional dedication along Short Street. I believe that to be an oversight. I don't think that would be any issue for the 10 feet that it would be. The applicant has also requested to not construct the widening of road pavement, curb and gutter, or sidewalks along any of the 3 streets. The second request is to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 73. They originally proposed 53. Staff felt that 5 additional spaces for guests and employees was warranted, so they've upped that request to actually 58 spaces. So you'd have 1 parking space for the 48 per every unit, as well as 10 guest/employee parking spaces. The third request they've actually updated, so they will be providing the bicycle parking spaces. The fourth request is the UDO requires usable porches and stoops to form a predominant motif on the front of the facade extending more than 30% of the facade. The applicant is providing a focal porch in the center of the building and Juliet balconies on the second-story units. This combination totals 23% of the facade instead of 30% that the UDO requires. The fifth request is the UDO requires that all elevations visible from the street provide doors, porches, balconies, and/or windows for a minimum of 60% of the facade and 30% of the side and rear elevations. The proposed elevation with the change in the second-story double windows goes from 38% to 44%. And also there are some building wall setbacks to provide some depth, and if you include that, they would actually meet the 60% rule. So they're asking basically to allow those building depth in the walls to act as a design feature to get up to that 60%. Also, the UDO requires a front entrance to be raised 1.5 feet above finished grade. Applicant requests that the standard be removed since the development is for senior housing. And then 2 other things that were not in the original request. One is that the UDO requires that these housing services for the elderly front on a street in the R3 district no less than a collector street designation. So this would be wiping away that request because West Academy Street is not considered a collector street. And lastly, they have offered, at staff suggestion, to provide a 20-foot undisturbed buffer along the side property line where the open space is against the existing residential houses. Currently, in the UDO, there's no buffer requirement at all, so they are recognizing that this development might have an impact on those houses and offering 20 feet of undisturbed area that they would not clear. Staff will provide responses and recommendations through the formal conditional district process. Planning Board and Board of Commissioners have the ability to add additional site development and building design standards as well. If the applicant moves forward with the conditional district application and the Planning Board and Board of Commissioners approve the master development plan, staff will bring action before the town board requesting the mayor to submit a letter to Wake County exempting this project from the affordable Wake County housing policy. That letter of exemption will give the town board's consent to the project to move forward as a tax credit project. Staff comments. This item, again, is only for discussion tonight. All discussion by this board is meant to inform the applicant, but is not binding in any way. And given that this project is expected to come before the Planning Board and Board of Commissioners as a conditional district, staff asks that the board raise and discuss any known issues that they would have supporting the tax credit project prior to the applicant submitting their applications to the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency and the Wake County Human Services Board for tax credits. And lastly, I just have some photo examples that the applicant submitted of similar projects. Just run through these real quick. This is the interior of a similar project, so this would look something similar to what would be built here. You've got a little TV area. This is the common kitchen in the community gathering room. You've got a little library room. This would look very similar to the facade proposed. That would be the back of it with the drop-off area. Just again, another project that was done recently around here. Another screen of the lobby. Another view of a different facade showing the rear. And then this is the front of the project near Triangle Town Center, but this would actually be the rear of that same project here in Wendell. That's it for me.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I have one.
Mr. Carroll?
What are the plans with the rest of the property?
That has not been discussed. The applicant has said that right now his focus is on this portion of the property. As it remains, it would stay R3, and anything could be done, that the R3 allows.
And I'm sorry, I have another
Go
one.
ahead.
I may have missed the age requirement for the actual applicants that would be living in the,
It'd be minimum 55.
okay.
Patrick, with the guest spaces being just 5, my knowledge is minimal on that. It seems like a low number for guests and for employees. How many people would be working at this location?
Well, first they bumped it up from 5 to 10, so
Okay.
we're up to
Okay.
10 spaces plus 1 for every unit. You know about how many employees, if you want to come forward?
Under normal circumstances, any senior developments usually require less parking because half the people that live there won't have cars. And so Raleigh, and I know Wake Forest, they have a formula that for the senior housing where there's 1 space per unit plus 5 or 10 or whatever spaces over that. But generally, approximately half the people that live there will have automobiles, so you just don't need the parking spaces for senior housing that you do for families. If it was for families, you definitely, need more parking, but with seniors. And our experience in the past, even with the one here in Wendell, the number we're using works fine. We hadn't had any problems with any of the parking.
Okay. Thank you.
I will state that Cedar Spring also had reduced parking numbers, and just through observations, haven't really ever noticed any parking issues.
This is one on Hollywood, correct?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
What was the logic behind the not doing curbing and gutter and sidewalks?
I'll leave that up to the applicant.
This particular piece of property is located on West Academy Street, which doesn't have any curb and gutter or sidewalk. So this property would be in an island where you would, if you put a sidewalk, it would start nowhere and go nowhere. I mean, there's no ends to it, and there's no more on that particular street, so. And the building itself will be facing interior, with the courtyard, so it shouldn't be, activity from the, development on Academy Street. We will have an entrance on Academy, and also, we've included a second entrance to, Wall Street, which should alleviate any potential traffic problems, but you shouldn't have with no more than 20, 25 cars.
Right, your comment about the, them not having vehicles or less people having vehicles indicated to me that someone might like to go out for a walk to leave the facility.
Well, we're going to provide a open space active area. There'll be a garden, a raised garden, there'll be a gazebo, and there'll be paved walkways for people to use in that area. So we're providing that as an amenity to the development.
I guess this would be for staff. Under any other condition proposal, under this set of circumstances, curb and gutter is suggested by the current UDO?
The UDO does require curb and gutter, sidewalk, and any additional pavement widening that is not currently in place.
I'd like to speak to that. Hepzibah Church was in here tonight, and we even made them do curb and gutter and sidewalk, and the sidewalk starts and stops, and it doesn't go anywhere, but you have to start somewhere, because if you don't, what's going to happen is eventually there will be other kinds of development in that area, and then it'll be up to the taxpayers to connect the two. And that's why we have spotty curb and gutter all over town right now. I know we adopted a resolution about the affordable housing, but as far as the curb and gutter goes, we have really taken a stand on that, and I would encourage everybody to stand firm on that. I think it's important. Of the things here listed, that was one that got my attention
Sidewalk.
very quickly, and the curb and gutter. Yes, sir.
Well, you can do it, but it's just, the fact you don't have any other curb and gutter on the whole street all the way to town.
But you gotta start somewhere.
Ma'am.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, okay, well,
So-
that's what I want, that's what I'm here
I
for tonight. I
understand.
didn't want
Yes,
to go
sir.
put thousands of dollars into an application unless, you felt like that this is something the town needs. And there is a definite need, because Cedar Springs has over a 2-year waiting list. Robinwood has over a 2-year waiting list. There's a definite big need for senior housing. Wake Forest, the Heritage just opened a new development like this. Garner just opened a new development like this. Pequay has one under construction. Garner has a second one under construction. So, there is, in these towns, there a big need for this housing. So, and I appreciate, like I said, any comments that any of you have or suggestions. This is a joint effort, and we want to be partners.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to voice a concern. When I think about affordable housing, I definitely don't think this picture here. But however, it's going to increase these numbers here, correct?
Well, the thing about it is that I don't know what those numbers you're talking, if you're talking about the people that's renting, yes, these are renters. These are elderly people. They're basically, they all have to be over 55 years old to live there.
I understand.
And they are owned, most of them are not wealthy people that can afford a $1,500, $2,000 a month apartment. But there's a need here for this housing.
I understand. I just, when I see these numbers at 11.6%.
Yeah, but you look where we are in Wake County.
I understand, but in the future, and that's what we got to think long-term.
Yeah.
When businesses decide to relocate, or even families that are doing their homework, when they see these numbers, it scares them.
Yeah.
So I understand the need, and I will say that this is not what I think of when I think of affordable housing.
It's very nice. In fact, those pictures, I think that Patrick showed you, probably a little bit more representative of what's there. And I'd be happy to show you any of those developments. I mean, I'd be happy for you to see the one here in Wendell if you hadn't seen it before.
I have a question. Where do you find that these potential residents come from?
Mayor, there's a lot of people locally. Most of them come from the surrounding area. Some of them do come here from other places, but what it is, there are people, and we run into this in our real estate business, that people who are moving here from other places want to know, do you have a place that my elderly parents can move? Or if my mother's a widow, and we'd like for her to live close to where we are. And so, I mean, I think this is a tool to generate future development or other development.
So you see this as making Wendell more attractive to
Yes.
younger families?
Yes. Because of the fact that when they move here, there are places that their parents can eventually move and retire. And we get that often. I talk with the people at Wendell Falls. They have the same thing. They said, you know, senior housing is a helpful thing to be able to sell homes.
So now these residents, they essentially have no income, correct?
Oh, yeah.
They do have income.
Okay, everybody, this is not subsidized housing. These people pay their own rent. When they make an application, they do a criminal background check. They do a salary or income verification. They do a credit report. And all those things have to meet standards for these people to be able to live there.
So I guess you're saying they do pay income tax, correct?
Do what?
They pay income tax because they have an income,
Sure
correct?
they do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these people get no rent subsidies. I mean, it's not Section 8. These people all have to pay their rent. They have to be able to certify to the management company that they have got income enough to pay the rents.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems to me like we're, in this particular instance, and I'm honestly, the only reason that we are even giving this any consideration, since we do have a resolution we adopted saying we were going to follow Wake County's policy about it, and we're so far above it, we could go 50 years and never have any more. But it seems to me like in this current time, what we're weighing is the way, or considering the way it is zoned now, which is R3, and I believe that's 10,000 square foot lots where we have no design standard control, as opposed to this, which is commercial, and we do have a little more control and may turn out to have something that's a prettier thing in the end. So is it worth not following the resolution that we adopted and waiving it, which I'm very hesitant to do, but I understand that in this very, very unique situation, it might be something that this board would consider, and I think that's the thing. But I do think that the curb and sidewalks and the curb and gutter, and the sidewalks, that, to me, that's a deal breaker to me. That's just my opinion, but I don't get to vote. So, but I think that's very important. And some of the other things that you've asked for, like the grade level and things like that, I understand that those are things that would take place that accommodate senior housing. I understand that. So, and the limited parking. I do have some concerns about the open space, the active open space. I would like to see more there.
We're open for suggestions. Like I said, we're building a gazebo and also a covered, regular round gazebo, like the one we have over on
Right.
at Cedar Springs. And then a garden. What they do to build raised gardens where the elderly can go out there and plant their own gardens. And
It's killing me that you keep saying they're elderly and they're 55. I just have to throw that out there.
I suppose you was my age.
Well, I'm not. Becky's talking about this young board. They're not talking about me. But
and you see what being male makes you look like.
Well, I think I'll weather it well. I think
You will do a great job.
But
The thing that, I see this is a tract of land that's It's not in a location that you're gonna build high-end homes. And, you know, the people came to me, I didn't go looking this, people who own that property came.
It's a challenging location, I agree.
And they asked me, they said, we need help. It got turned down by the board for putting houses there, and what in the world can we do? We need to sell it, we're elderly. And I came up with this idea and thought this would be a great alternative for them.
And just a couple facts, state building code would require this to be fully sprinklered, so,
Yeah.
no worries about that. You know, we do have water and sewer already in front of the site.
Elevators.
Yeah, the elevator for the second story. The elevations can be a part of the condition of approval when we get to that point in about a month or two, as well as if you guys wanted to take a closer look at the active open space, that could be conditions as well. So you have plenty of time to brainstorm those ideas if this project does move forward.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or any comments?
I think it's great that we can, you know, I know that this is what you would call affordable housing, but it's not subsidized housing. But the county puts money in it, the state will put money in it, and the federal will put tax credits money in it. So, I mean, we're getting a really, really nice apartment development for a lower cost. That way we can rent for less money. So that's where the tax credits come in. These units would cost probably $10,000, $12,000 less per unit if you didn't have to go by the requirements of the tax credit program.
All right.
I have one other question.
Okay.
You mentioned during the application process that there was going to be basically a income, you know, these folks had to be achieving a certain amount of income. What is that amount?
It's a 50, 60%, depending on the number of units that you allocate, would be of median income, which is $30-something thousand a year is a minimum. And there's a rent for a single person, and then there's a higher rent for if you got two people. We usually find that over half of these units are not are one person, single people.
So that brings up another question. I'm sorry, are you?
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
So on the units that are going to be built for two people, if they don't fill up, do you rent them to one? So their rent's lower for that particular unit?
Well, yeah, but like I said, generally, that's one reason we do a 50-50. And we've done enough of these that we kind of have a feel for what the demand's going to be. And we'll do a market study. We'll have like a $5,000 market study done to make sure the market's here. We have to do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Item number 9, discussion and action on request to close Main Street on Saturday, March 19th, 2016. Ms. Piner?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, last year was our first BMX event. We held that on Main Street. It was located between 4th Street and Depot. That is what we are proposing again this year, looking at to close that section. I do have to apologize. Jeff had to leave due to an illness in his family and was not able to stay. One of the things that we will do as a part of this, and he has been out making contact with the businesses to make sure that we can work and accommodate and work with them. Would not want to negatively impact them for the day. I will say that some of the businesses last year did see an increase due to the traffic, the foot traffic we had in the area, the grocery store, the restaurant. Some of the other businesses do close early in the afternoon. What we've also talked about, as he does talk with them, and again, I just don't know those specific conversations, is that if they need their customers to get close to there, that we can make some type of arrangements with something to put in their windshield so that we can get them close, say, at the hair studio, those kinds of things, stage 1. So we are looking to do exactly like we did last year. We're hoping to make it bigger and better, continue to build, but it would be closing that same section of road for that day.
Does anyone have any comments or questions for the manager?
Teresa, I just have one. I really liked it last year. I would recommend, I know we had food trucks there last year. While having that is nice, I would also want to make sure we're supporting the restaurants there in town too as well. And I know, a lot of folks walk around eating the burritos and things like that, which is fine, but I think, Bravo's and Aubrey's and places like that would probably benefit just as much too as well. And I think supporting them, working some way out to where everybody could win from that situation, not just the retail businesses, but also the restaurants would be good.
I think this would be a positive, and I think that's something we definitely need to look at.
So, but otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve the request to close Main Street for the BMX exhibition.
All right, is there a motion? Any discussion? Did you have something to say, Commissioner Boyd? Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Item 10, scheduling for the 2016 Town Board Retreat.
Madam Mayor, members of the board, we are looking at scheduling the retreat for this year. Again, we are looking at some possible dates as early as the 23rd of January and through the 5th of March. We do have, as typical, we have a lot of conflicts between staff and board, but it's very important that we feel is that we can work around staff conflicts, and it's very important that we have all the board members there and present. We would like to focus on where we left off last year, those items, and give the board a report and see if we can set the goals and objectives for this coming year as we move forward and get more into our budget season.
Do you have a suggested date at this point? Well, I know we've been round and round. Just so everybody knows, we've been round and round trying to get this done this time.
Yes, well, I would probably go back to either the 20th, and again, I know we've got some issues, or the 5th. We had kind of looked at the 5th. Now, one of the reasons that I mentioned the 5th, March 5th. March 5th is that the lady who helped us from last year with our retreat and did our work notes, and she is available. Again, I can check the other dates as well. I just know that she is available for March 5th. And this is for setting the agendas and goals and objectives for next year. We are currently halfway through what we have set for this past year. We're in the fiscal year. We will.
And the 20th date, what date is that?
That is, I believe I checked with that one. I believe that one was Tama's out of town.
Yeah.
No, that one is when Jeff is out of town. He is with the ski trip that the town is sponsoring.
Is that January?
That one is actually February the
February?
20th. Yes, ma'am. We do have a town-sponsored ski trip. And again, we'd love to have everybody there. However, Jeff has just received his part of, and is in the process of spending over $500,000. So I'm not sure he's going to get a lot more if he does attend.
Yeah. He
So
could probably stay away.
So he's in good shape for the next several months.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are y'all thinking?
I would like to do it on the 20th, but I know that would eliminate Jeff. I think even though March is only a couple weeks away, it seems like a whole lot longer away, but.
I'm okay with the 20th.
And just as a FYI, to make sure I'm clear, is David will not be available on that date, on the March 5th, but it's going to be difficult for us to get everybody. And my main concern, again, is making sure we have all board members available.
Well, honestly, we may need David more than Jeff right now because of what you just said,
We do have a lot of development coming our way,
Yeah.
and I think
So is everybody okay with Saturday, February 20th?
Yep.
Okay, and you'll find a location and so forth and let us know?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
And before we leave, on this same vein, I want to schedule next year's retreat right now so that everyone will know what we're planning, just so they can plan around it. I'm a big planner. So the two dates that I'd like to suggest are either Saturday, January 7th or Saturday, January 21st. The one in between that is a Saturday, that Monday is Martin Luther King holiday, and so the town hall will be closed, so it's a long holiday weekend, and someone may have something they'd like to do for the long weekend. So what would y'all like to have it next year? Which of these two? January 7th or January 21st?
With that much notice, I think I could do either.
Do you think you can make it? Okay. Do you have a preference, Ms. Piner?
From staff perspective and knowing we're coming back off of holidays, the 21st may be better for us. And depending upon what we needed or what direction the board wanted that retreat to go and what materials we need to provide. But we will do either
We
day.
do have a lot of town staff, especially these here, that would be doing that take a lot of time off, vacation time around the holidays and the first of the year, because I've seen that myself. So
that is a slower time during construction.
It is, so
and
it's convenient for them to be away a little bit. So, all right, I tell you what about the 21st? Let's just go ahead and pick that day. Saturday, January 21st.
That would be great.
2017.
Sounds like
How's that for planning ahead?
I like that.
I do too.
Can we do 2018 too?
We can. Now, when people are planning Parks and Rec trips, vacations and whatnot, they'll know that that's a day that's taken up. All right. We'll have our comments. We'll start down with, I guess, Mr. Joyner. I'll start with you. Do you have anything you'd like to say in comments tonight?
No, ma'am.
All right. Commissioner Boyette?
The national championship football game starts in 6 minutes.
I know. I've been watching the clock, actually.
Excuse me,
Oh, my
madam.
gosh.
Clemson and Alabama.
Mr. Myrick?
Yes, I just want to say I was able, last week, I know a few others were able to attend a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce and other community organizations, their leaders, and getting a overall schedule together. And I tell you, we got some exciting things coming up here in Wendell, throughout the year. So I believe every weekend this summer we have an event here in town, so something to look forward to.
I have none. I have none.
Yeah, I was
Commissioner
also
Carroll?
going to comment on the chamber organizing that meeting, and the calendar is filling up quick. There's a lot of good things going on. If you don't know about that, Tracy will be putting out the master calendar. It's supposed to have already been done. I haven't seen it yet. It may have already came through, but at any rate, just be on the lookout for that. There's a lot of good things going on. And also excited to see that downtown is quickly filling up, and a lot of good things going on as far as business goes as well. So just would encourage everybody to participate in the local businesses and, spend your money around Wendell, please.
All right, thank you. That must be that's the instructions from that chair. That's the shop local spot, yeah. I also attended the community calendar event, so you know how I love to give y'all dates, so I won't go into that, but there is a lot going on. I wanted to tell you, too, that tomorrow night is Spirit Night from Wendell Elementary School at Agave, and if you don't have dinner plans, please go out there and have dinner with them. A portion of the proceeds goes to their school, and it's really nice for one of our local restaurants to be willing to do that for our local school that is the #1 magnet elementary school in the nation. I like to say that until it's not true anymore. So please go out there and attend. It will be from 4 to 8 tomorrow night. I also found out today that the new playground equipment is going to arrive next week, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm planning to go out there and watch, because I really can't wait to watch it take shape. The last thing I want to tell you is I was interviewed today. I received an interview request from an internet radio station for Mayor Monday, and I was interviewed today for about a half an hour. Apparently radio stations are online now more than not, so we're really jumping into the internet age around here. My interview actually followed the lieutenant governor, so maybe someone kept it on long enough to hear a little bit about Wendell after they heard the lieutenant governor. It's my hope that the more things like that we do, we can get people knowing where Wendell is. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Our business system, the chamber, is incredibly
there.
Got that?